The reason that the present moment and connecting with the present moment, which is my intention with this video, for you to connect deeper to the presence of being within you. But I want to explore the reason why that is so important. And I believe, before I dive into that, I want to share why we disconnect from the present moment and why we actually feel afraid of the present moment. When we live in the contents of our minds, when we live in the ideas and thinking of our minds, and we believe we are the person that we're describing through our thoughts, that is solely who we are, right? The identity of thinking, who we think ourselves to be. If we live in our mind most of our lives, let's say 90% of the time, this is the identity that you feel safe in. And the reason that you, not the deeper you, but that identity feels afraid of the present moment is that the moment you drop deeper into the presence of being, the moment you have a look what's behind the curtain of experience, have a look of what is watching, what is actually observing the whole thoughts coming in, feelings coming in and out, what is actually observing that. When you dive deeper into that, it can be scary because it feels like that identity that you've identified with your whole life, the identity of thinking, the identity of the thinking mind, has no space in that place, and that is true. The more you root and center yourself in presence, the more you realize that your being is beyond the contents of thinking. That thinking can happen, thinking can occur, and of course we utilize thinking for our benefit. We utilize our mind for our benefit, but we disidentify from the mind and the thinking being who we are. And it is a process of consistently tapping into deeper beingness, into deeper presence, that slowly but surely allows you to be rooted in something more powerful, allows you to be rooted in stillness, rooted in being, that your identity changes. There is an identity shift. And you can say there's an identity shift from our ego mind to the identity of the soul, which is rooted in loving presence. And you root your identity back to that loving presence. And that is why it is so important to come back to that presence, is to actually cultivate a deeper level of self-awareness, to actually begin to notice all of the things that are going on within the contents of your minds without identifying that that is who you are. When we live through our conditioning, when we live through our ideas, through our thinking solely, that is our baseline of living and navigating life. It's like you're inside the box. And I'm sure you've heard the saying before, right? Think outside of the box. But if you're the thinker inside the box, you can't think of outside the box because you believe you are the thinker within the box. In order to get outside of the box, you have to slip underneath thinking. You have to actually experience what is underneath thinking. And as we become more aware of all of the thoughts and feelings that are generated within our experience without being so identified with it, we can have space from it and we can witness it from the power of our presence. Now, as you witness your thoughts from the power of your presence, you can begin to generate a different experience within yourself. You can start feeling into your true values, into your heart's power, into the things that truly matter to you, into the perception that you feel and that you know within your soul is most beneficial to you. You can start to form that. You can start to introduce in your nervous system those perceptions. But if you are in the identity of thinking, it is going to be made up of a collection of beliefs and perception that you have inherited on the journey of life, that has gotten you to this point, and that has provided you with a sense of protection and safety in some way. But it is now coming to a point where it limits you. So if you want to tap into your unlimited power, if you want to tap into unlimited sense of peace and well-being within you, if you want to allow the flow of spirit to actually come through you, that it's not just you and who you think you are being the one that does everything, then you have to slip beyond the identity of thinking. And this is my invitation for you. And so let's take a moment together right now. What is it within you that is simply conscious, simply being? Because you can say right now, right, that you are being conscious. You're being conscious of hearing my voice, of watching this video, of sitting on the chair that you're sitting in or lying on the bed that you're lying on, right? That is evidence that you're being conscious. So you are being conscious. You're consciously aware of experience. And I just want you to be there, not to think about experience, not to analyze experience, not to label experience, but to simply be conscious. Notice. And as you focus on the fact that you are conscious, that deeper consciousness, which is who you are, can begin to show itself to you, can begin to reveal itself to you. Just feel. Feel the presence of being when there is nothing to analyze, understand, or think about. Because you are a being that is not rooted in thought alone. Thoughts are how you describe experience, how you interpret experience, how you perceive experience. But you are underneath that, beyond that. You are simply being. And so can you invite yourself back home, because it is your home? Can you invite yourself back home into simply the experience of being? Simply being itself. And all the feelings and thoughts can still be there. It's not about getting rid of them. I'm not asking you to get rid of your thoughts and feelings, simply to step away from the identification with them and realize that there is some spaciousness underneath. Can you be aware of that spaciousness? Can you center in that spaciousness, lean back, fall back? It is like a falling back into who you truly are. A relaxing of the constant thinking about things, needing to understand. The constant thinking about things and needing to understand is a deeper unsafety in our nervous system that employs our ego to figure things out. What if you don't have to figure things out? What if you don't have to figure things out? What if what you need to know will reveal itself to you when you need to know, and then you can act upon it? But in the meantime, there is nothing to think about. You can just be. And I know this is easier said than done, but I'm wanting to transmit this energy, this frequency of simply being. And if you hear loud noises, these are simply the fireworks, because we're having New Year's Eve tomorrow and people start employing fireworks a day prior. So let these fireworks be a sound that you're noticing as the consciousness of being that you are. Simply be here with me, because we share this space, you and I. We share this space of being. We are that space of being. That is our true being. And we want to root our identity deeper into that, to understand, to know experientially that that is who we are, so we know that we are not impacted by the quality of our thoughts. We're not impacted by the quality of our feelings. We're not hurt, able to be truly hurt by the mixture of thoughts and feelings. You are never truly touched by that. But if you think you are the character within your thinking, then you think you are touched by the thoughts, by the beliefs, by the feelings. They seem threatening to you, when in reality, in your true nature of being, there is no threat. But in your nervous system, it feels like a threat, and that is understandable. And we have to, of course, bring loving compassion to our heart as we undergo these difficult emotions and moments of change. But right now, discover the importance, the significance of being present, and that you actually are safe to simply be present, to simply be without the need to figure things out. That you're actually safe here, and information you need will be given to you. But that requires a tremendous amount of trust in life, trust in spirit, the trust in something deeper, holding you, guiding you, moving you forward without you needing to be in control. But that is the truth of reality. That is the truth of life. And if you want to have a truly fulfilling, meaningful, purposeful, and a life where you feel at peace, where you don't undergo the constant stressors of needing to control life, then you have to begin to surrender to that truth, to the truth of being, to the fact that within consciousness you're safe. That's why in the Christian settings, and I'm not a Christian myself, but there are some beautiful invitations, the invitation of surrender, to let God. To let God simply means to no longer be in control, because you trust God more than you. And in terms of present moment experience, it simply means you trust the present moment. You fall into it, you surrender to it, and you realize that you can never figure it out by yourself. Only the higher power through you, through the present moment, can actually give you the direction and the wisdom and the energy and the power that you need. So take a moment to simply be. We discover the present moment as our true nature of being, as who we are. And as we then allow that to begin to shift our identity, we root in the perception of how the soul sees life, not how our egoic identity sees life. And that's why we have to step out of the egoic identity and allow the soulful identity to reveal itself. The inner knowings of truth that are already within you simply may be overshadowed or overclouded by conditioned ideas. Ideas don't make you feel safe, don't make you feel empowered, that keep you small and limited at times. These are the steps of energetic alignment, of being embodied in who you truly are, becoming aware of present moment experience, and allowing our soulful identity to be what directs us, and having a loving relationship with the ego within us that begins to fall apart and crumble as we embody more and more our true identity, a true experience of alignment. And through this deeper connection to the present moment and to yourself, to your heart, you awaken your own intuition and become more powerful in receiving and listening to the guidance that is provided to you. And you follow that with more conviction. And that changes your identity, that shifts your identity into the identity of the powerful present being that you are. And that's when you can make true change. True change begins energetically. If you try to enforce change from the fear that you're not enough, or from some kind of belief within you that says you have to do this, some kind of franticness in your nervous system, not a relaxation of being, it's not going to meaningfully fulfill you. It's not going to feel nourishing to you. So, I hope this video has served you in dropping in with me into the presence of being that we are. And I want to empower you. It is who you are. Even if you don't believe that, your thoughts don't have to believe that. If you feel underneath the current of experience, there is this powerful space of presence, this powerful space of being. It is your conscious experience. It is who you are. And in that, you are free. You're more powerful than your mind can ever conjure up. You're more free than you could ever imagine. So that's why it's worth exploring the depth of presence within you. That's why it's worth exploring the present moment and build a relationship with it. This is how you gain true perspective.